Jesus. Me and my family were all very skeptical. However, something strange has been happening lately. About 3 months ago, my grandmother, who is about 69 years old, got sick and was bedridden. She has her own bedroom, and one of the windows faces the street. One day, she started hearing dogs barking, but she thought nothing of it, as there's a lot of street dogs in my hometown. When I went to check the barking, the dogs were just looking up. I thought they were barking at the dogs we have on the roof. We are the only ones who have dogs there, but our dogs were always quiet. On another occasion, we were returning from a party at 3 a.m. The house is 3 stories tall, and in the distance, we could see something fluttering above it, and we saw, again, how the dogs were barking at the roof while seeming distressed. We decided to go up to the 3rd floor, despite being tired and hungover from the party. The last thing we expected to find was a bird, but we ended up finding a bird that was enormous. I estimate that when it opened its wings, it was approximately 5 meters long. That's almost the size of a car. When the bird opened its wings, we found out it was a giant white heron. As we continued to see the heron, we began to realize that my grandmother was getting sicker and sicker. Every time this bird appeared, my grandmother got very sick to the point where she almost had a heart attack. Someone recommended that we go see a psychic. We were not too keen on this, but decided it was worth it to try it out. We asked the psychic if they could tell us why these appearances occurred. I need to say that we live near a forest and the lake San Juan de Aragon, so there are birds, ducks, and a lot of fauna out there. Of course, there's herons, but not that size. Herons always go in flocks. They don't go alone. This bird appeared alone all the time and was unusually quiet. One night, the heron scared the dogs by flapping its wings, and I could see some kind of flashes on its tail, which seemed very strange to me. It's a bird that isn't nocturnal and is very big, but it had strange lights emanating from it. The psychic told us that the bird was a Nawal, a witch who transforms into an animal. My family started to laugh and make fun of the psychic. The idea just sounded ridiculous. After that day, the heron got into the house at around 3 a.m. He got into the yard, and everyone was really terrified. Think about it. Seeing this huge bird in your house is a very frightening image. I believe this happened because my family mocked the psychic. We went to see the psychic again because we were terrified by the fact that the bird got into the house, and we started to get worried that someone might be doing some kind of witchcraft against us. The psychic told us that the Nawal was waiting to take my grandmother's soul and was also making sure that nothing else stole it from him. On my last encounter with the heron, I was driving and I was going through the viaduct. I managed to avoid a car that was coming to my right side, and then I crashed into the guardrail as my tire and rim came apart. Well, I managed to get to the intersection of a street and found a place where they sell tires. It was Sunday at around 8 a.m., and when they finished fixing my car so I could leave, I saw the heron. It was the only time I saw it directly in the eyes. It had a deep look, almost a human stare. I was always told that when something has good intentions toward you, you would feel fine and at ease. But whenever I would encounter the heron, I would feel scared and terrified. I stopped living at that house since I got a job in another city. Last I heard from my mother, my grandma was transferred to the care of her brother, who was a doctor, and they keep having encounters with the heron. My grandma continues to be bedridden to this day. This happened to me in 1997. I get goosebumps just thinking about it. I was a medical intern, and I was sent to a place near the shore of the Coetzeo Lagoon, to one of these towns that has been quickly turning into a ghost town. On one of those nights, I had to work on the shore of the lagoon. During that year of my social service to the lagoon, my wife accompanied me. At 3 a.m., we started to hear a very loud noise. The roads there were very empty, as the town has a small population. When we started to hear this noise, we thought it was coming from the road. In the beginning, we thought a truck had gotten stuck but the noise started to get louder and louder, to the point that it felt like the truck was right next to our ears. That wasn't what scared us, though. The health center where we were staying at was made of sheet metal, and it began to shake as if someone with a lot of strength was shaking the whole structure. I felt a very strong vibration all over my body. The windows seemed like they were going to break away, and the noise was deafening at that moment. The noise was so intense that I got out of bed, and my wife began to scream. I felt that whatever was outside was on top of us, and the health center seemed like it was going to crumble. I opened the window, and I saw what looked like an UFO as it was passing over the health center. It seemed like it was heading east, as if it was heading to the city of Morelia. The wind stopped, and it was completely silent. I felt very helpless, and I realized how vulnerable we humans can be sometimes. The next thing I knew, I was outside and petrified as the UFO hung over me in the night sky. It had a circular shape. It was spinning counterclockwise, and it had these little red lights at the bottom that didn't spin, but it seemed like the intensity of these lights was going up and down. The object disappeared in 5 seconds, and everything went back to normal, as if nothing had ever happened. The next morning, we asked the neighbors who were half a kilometer away if they had heard or seen something. They said they heard the noise, but not as intensely as we did. Thinking back on it, what I was scared for the most was that this thing would stop there, and something would come down, or that it would take me and my wife away. This experience lasted about 3 minutes, and that seemed like an eternity to me. I have believed in this experience ever since, despite what the skeptics may say to me. So what did you think of those 2 stories? Please let us know your thoughts below in the comments, and if you have any story suggestions, your own experiences that you would like us to cover, feel free to contact us at dragonvin@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, and good night.